Shalom, Shalom and welcome. Welcome to this channel. If you're tuning in for the first time or it's been a while, my name is Symmanayah, and these are the words I'm compelled to present before an awakening set-apart nation. Before I get started, I want to say this, that the views expressed in these messages do not necessarily reflect the views of the owners, managers, and or shareholders or their sponsors or the sponsors of this media platform. With that said, let's get started. I want to talk about belief in the name. Have you ever heard someone calling out an individual by, let's say, calling out what you thought was your name? And when you listen carefully, you realize they're not talking to me. They're not referencing me. So you went on about your business. I will state the case that I believe that the Almighty Father calls out to his children. He calls us by name to get our attention. And if he's calling out to us, would it not be wise to identify who's calling out, who's drawing us, who's doing this? Let's talk about belief in the name, my brothers and sisters, as we get into this message. Some of you may hear me talk about the life in the scriptures a lot, because I believe that the letter kills and it's the spirit of Yahuah that makes alive. He hardens our hearts and softens our hearts so that we may hear and understand. Those who seek him diligently with the intent to worship and obey him will come to grow in wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Those who do not, a different result. Let us take a look at how it begins. Did you know something occurred within? Something that the word something of which we use a lot, something told me. Because we are unknowledgeable or have not been taught correctly, we use the word something told me, or I should have followed my first mind, or follow your first conscience. I will submit to you, O Yahusha, that we will discover that there's a spirit of the Almighty One that reaches out to us through his word, which he sent in Yahusha's name. Stay with me, my brothers and sisters, as I present why this is important as it relates to belief in the name. It would be wise to understand the life in the scriptures. Come with me to John 6:43 through 45. John 6:43 through 45. It reads, Then Yahusha answered and said to them, Do not grumble with one another. No one is able to come to me unless the Father who sent me draws him, and I shall raise him up in the last day. It has been written in the prophets, and they shall all be taught by Yahuah. By Yahuah, my brothers and sisters. But notice he said no one can come to me unless the Father who sent him draws him. You see, Yahusha represents the word of Yahuah. No Trinity. He is the word. Come with me as I present these words as well, my brothers and sisters. And if you are one who seek to do the will of the Almighty Father, I consider you that, my brother, my sister, my family. In John chapter 14, 23 through 28 reads, in the scripture version 2009, it reads as this. Yahusha answered him, If anyone loves me, he shall guard my word, and my Father shall love him, and we shall come to him and make our stay with him. He who does not love me does not guard my words. And the word which you hear is not mine, but of the Father who sent me. These words I have spoken to you while still with you. But the Helper, the set-apart Spirit, whom the Father shall send in my name, he shall teach you all and remind you of all that I've said to you. Many people don't realize that Yahusha is the word of Yahuwah, and that he didn't want to present words that would make it difficult for us to understand. So he let us know that the Father, he who is the beginning and the end, the Aleph and the Tah, the Almighty Yahuah, who is omnipotent, omnipresent. He wanted us to know that it was the Spirit of Yahuwah that sent his word in Yahusha's name. Why? Because it is through the name, it is through the word of Yahuwah as Yahusha that we establish life everlasting, that we receive redemption, salvation, recognizing this is the order and the sequence which the Almighty Father has set forth. A helper, set apart Spirit, the Father sent in his name, Yahusha's name. Many people rather magnify the words Ruach or Ruach HaKodesh. Ruach means spirit. Ruach HaKodesh means set apart spirit. It sounds mature, or it sounds inviting when we believe we are awakened to understand that we are the true Hebrews. So many prefer to use Ruach or Ruach HaKodesh, but the scriptures talk about the importance of the name. And we will learn that in due season, my brothers and sisters, starting sooner than many will and can imagine. He said, peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. You heard that I said to you, I am going away and I am coming to you. If you did love me, you would have rejoiced that I said, I am going to the Father, for my Father is greater than I. See, when we look at the Spirit everywhere at all times and we compare it to the embodiment of his word walking with us, naturally, the name Yahuwah is everywhere at all times. His word being manifest in the flesh before us was not everywhere at all times from an imagery perspective, from whom we can see and touch, hear. In the days ahead, it will become more and more clear, and we will grow to understand this, my brothers and sisters. My question that led to answers, that led me to the Almighty Father Yahuwah in his word, Yahusha, was this. For me, my brothers and sisters, I asked the question, how does a man live? Who determines life, physical life? And I was at an age where I can look it up. We didn't have the internet like we have now, but it was stated that we live by the heartbeat. The heartbeat pumping blood to the brain, and the brain functions. And that actually a person is considered, quote unquote, clinically dead when the brain ceases to function. So I said, well, how does the brain function? Through the heartbeat. Well, how does the heart beat? Through nerve impulses from the brain. Well, how does this all start? Who determines that this continuous cycle of a heartbeat and brain function and blood circulate? What determines that? And I asked this question with sincerity because I desired to know. And I grew to believe that there was an almighty creator. And I believe it was him who was instilling in me to ask these questions. And as I began to ask these questions, my brothers and sisters, I began to discover that there is an Almighty One. I want you to consider these words, my brothers and sisters. Come with me to John chapter 12, verse 30 through 35. For it reads, Yahusha answered and said, this voice did not come because of me, but for your sake. Now is the judgment of this world. Now the ruler of this world shall be cast out. And I, if I am lifted up from the earth, shall draw all men unto myself. This he said, signifying by what death he was about to die. The crowd answered him, we have heard out of the Torah that the Messiah remains forever. And how do you say the son of Adam has to be lifted up? Who is the son of Adam? Yahusha therefore said to them, yet a little while the light is with you. Walk while you have light, lest darkness overtake you. And he who walks in darkness does not know where he is going. Notice how he emphasized light, my brothers and sisters. Light. Notice how he stated that this voice did not come because of him, but for our sake. It is the embodiment of the voice of the Spirit of Yahuah. It is the method in which he chose to communicate to us, O Yahusha. We must believe in order to press forward and grow and respond to he who is drawing us. All these experiences we encounter requires us to believe if we are to please Yahuah. If we are to identify who's drawing us, who's speaking to us. John 6:44 lets us know that no man can come to the Father except by the Son. It says, but no one can come to the Son unless the Father draws him. That's what 6:44 indicates, the Father drawing him. My brothers and sisters, we are in end times. And during these end times, it would be important for us to realize that as the Almighty Father draws us, we must believe. We must grow to identify his name. Allow me to present these words, my brothers and sisters. Bear with me a second as I comb through some stuff. I want to go back to John 6:44 where it says, no one is able to come to me unless the Father who sent me draws him. Draws him. We must believe to understand these things, my brothers and sisters. Come with me as I read John 14:23 through 28. John 14:23 through 28 says, Yahusha answered, if anyone loves me, he shall guard my word, and my Father shall love him. We shall come to him and make our stay with him, rather. He who does not love me does not guard my words. See, notice that it's saying does not guard my words. When it say we will come to him, he's saying the spirit, the strength, and the power in the presence of the Almighty Father Yahuah, who manifests his word. So when you see the word, my words from Yahusha, he's reflecting that he is indeed the word of Yahuah. It says, and the word which you hear is not mine, but of the Father who sent me. These words I have spoken to you while with you. But the helper, the set apart spirit, whom the Father shall send in my name, he shall teach you all and remind you of all that I said to you. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. I do not give to the world, I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. You heard that I said to you, I am going away and I am coming to you. If you did love me, you would have rejoiced that I said, I am going to the Father, for my Father is greater than I. It's the academics that makes it difficult for us to understand that Yahusha was representation of the word of Yahuwah. It was the method in which Yahuwah, who has a great thunderous voice, but manifests in the person of Yahusha so that we can understand, so that we can commune, so that we can grow and receive guidance from him. My question has always been, who is it that brings life? Who is it that gives breath and determines whether someone lives or dies? My brothers and sisters, I want you to consider these words as I mentioned them, where Yahushua said, if I be lifted up, I'll draw all men to myself. And he talks about the life, and I just talked about this in Backtrack. But it is so important for us to realize if our focus, if we can believe, if our belief takes us to identify the name of Yahuwah, and that his word came in Yahusha's name, and our focus is on him, and we lift him up. We lift him up by our worship and obedience to his word, the word of Yahuwah. So in our worship and obedience to Yahusha, we find that he is indeed the intermediary. The word of Yahuwah is the way in which we receive life. And having that common focal point, this is where we come together in unity, Yasharal. This is where we begin to learn how to grow as one in him. My brothers and sisters, all these experiences we will encounter requires us to believe if we are to please the Almighty Father. Belief in the name. Do you think that we can go around saying that we healed or cast out demons and name 6 different ways of calling out the Mashiach? Do you think and believe that we have an obligation to discern what his true name is? Where have we seen an example in the scriptures where someone said cast out demons or heal the sick and the multiple variations of Yahusha? That's not written. Nor does the Spirit bear witness of such actions. It is important, O Yasharal. Let me take you through an exercise. Now, some of you might think this don't make sense. But for me, what I believe the Almighty Father showed me, if you say, just through process of elimination, some names, if you're saying Yahweh or Yahweh, using that letter W, W did not exist years ago. It was 2 U's. Like, I'm seeing double, 2 U's, making the ooh sound. It was somebody that says, I want to say the W's is this letter. And out of deviation was birthed this letter W that have a wah instead of ah. Yahuah. Believe it or not, my brothers and sisters, that helps eliminate all who use the name with a W and a U in it. Yahoo, and then they put wow. That's like 3 U's instead of double U's. And if you say ah, knowing that the Almighty Father breathed life into us, when we say ah, our mouths open, we can receive breath, breathe in and out with ease. When you say A or E, your teeth comes together. It restricts the flow of breathing. It restricts the flow of a function that resembles that we are alive. Now, to some of you, it may not make sense. When you start adding letters and stuff, these tell me something's wrong. And somebody might say, well, that's your opinion. I'm sharing with you my testimony, my brothers and sisters. Let me also share another exercise with you. When you look at 4 glasses. Each, let's just say they're each 16-ounce glasses. And if you put one glass and fill it to the brim, another glass, if you put rocks in it and fill it up, another glass, you put sticks in it and fill it up, another glass, you put sand in it and fill it up. If you were to empty those glasses into another container, one at a time, straining the debris, which glass will have the most water? The one that had water only? Or the one that had sand, rocks, or sticks in it? I submit to you this, my brothers and sisters, the word of Yahuwah is often compared to water. And if we are to thirst and seek after the word of Yahuwah, we will grow to know that it is his intent for impurities, the gravel, the sand, the sticks, to be removed. Now, sure enough, when it comes to purifying water, there is a mechanism which takes water to different levels. But ultimately, the one with the most water is the one with the less impurities in it. Now, you might say, what are you talking about, Symmanayah? I want to say this. As end times ramp up, it should be important for us to get as much water, as much truth, as much instruction that is set apart as we can. Therefore, learning to discern the impurities, the rocks, the sands, the sticks, or should I say the miscommunication, the erroneous teachings, the compromising practices. Let us allow the word to filter and remove those things from us that we may grow. So I say to you, O Yahusha, let us be careful whom we fellowship with, what camps and communities we get with. Why? Look around. Many have compromising cliques within them, compromising individuals or groups within them. Therefore, that disrupts the camp. Let us be pursuers of what is true and know when to come away and when to come closer to those of like mind who do not have any problems with being as iron sharpening iron, who do not have any problems with searching the scriptures, the life in the scriptures, to determine what is right and gravitate towards that. Yahusha, my brothers and sisters, who's filling your glass? How much water, how much of the word do you have, or are they consuming your time by going over the same thing over and over and over and not presenting something different or something new or something that reinforces your position of belief and understanding? Allow me to present these words, O Yahusha. Hebrews 11:1 says, and belief is the substance of what is expected, the proof of what is not seen. Our expectation should be to know and discern what is true, what is right, which direction to go, who to listen to, who to speak to, how to process the things that we are exposed to. We should have an expectation, seeking guidance from the same person that drew us, Yahuwah, the Almighty Father, who spoke to us in his name, the name that he gave his word, Yahusha. How many people are talking about how do we determine belief, or some will say faith? How can we walk by belief or faith if we don't seek to discern him, if we don't learn his name? Hebrews 11:6 says, but without belief it is impossible to please him. For he who comes to the Almighty One has to believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those who earnestly seek him. My brothers and sisters, on the screen, if you're looking at the slide, you will see that it has the word Elohim. Elohim is plural for mighty ones. I am compelled to believe that the Almighty Father Yahuwah is one. that Yahusha represents his word, identifying his word that was manifest before us. Yes, I believe in the virgin birth. I believe that Yahuwah's word walked among us. I believe in the sacrifice and resurrection. I believe that Yahuwah sent his set-apart spirit in Yahusha's name. Yes, my brothers and sisters. Belief. It is important for us to understand that without belief, it's impossible to please he who is the Almighty One. And let us remember, in Deuteronomy 8:3, it says, and he humbled you and let you suffer hunger and fed you with manna, which you did not know, nor did your fathers know, to make you know that man does not live by bread alone, but every word that comes from the mouth of Yahuwah. It is the word from Yahuwah, my brothers and sisters, that we live. We must grow stronger each day, and we will, those who will fulfill the final exodus, those who will be martyrs for Yahusha's name, those who will recognize that the Almighty Yahuwah manifests his word before us in Yahusha's name. I'm compelled to present these words to you, my brothers and sisters. Come with me as I read 1 Corinthians 3:16 and 17. For they state this: do you not know that you are a dwelling place of the Almighty One, and that the Spirit of the Almighty One dwells in you? Now the text reads Elohim, but as I stated, I will say Almighty One, because there's only one. It says, if anyone destroys the dwelling place of the Almighty One shall destroy him. For the dwelling place of the Almighty One is set apart. Which are you? We must learn that we have a responsibility to manage these earthen vessels as the spirit that is within us works with our spirit to bring our mental faculties, our cognitive abilities, our mental abilities into subjection to what is set apart. We are a dwelling place of the Almighty Father. And believe it or not, before we quick to say he's not in a person, let us examine that person with a mind to discern whether they are indeed a brother or a sister. You see, because in the scriptures we hear of discipline. Hebrews 12th chapter talks about discipline. Revelation 3:19 says he disciplined those. So what is the face of discipline? What are the realities of discipline when he who is the Almighty One disciplines his children? Then we may see someone who's struggling, who's unlearned, who's been a victim of erroneous teachers, pastors, bishops, priests, mores that have taught them incorrectly. They've been a victim. And so the Spirit of Yahuwah in his discipline is bringing correction, which we will struggle. Sometimes we fight with correction. Sometimes our ego gets in the way. Sometimes our agenda or our mental logic gets in the way. But Yasharal, we must know as a dwelling place, we will see that what occurs to the children of Yahuwah is that there will be some pain. There will be some suffering. It says in Hebrews, my brothers and sisters, that no discipline for the present seems joyous, but afterwards it yields that peaceable fruit of righteousness. Let us believe, my brothers and sisters. Let us understand. It is so important to embrace belief. It is so important to know what is the name that guides you. What is the name that brings convictions to you, my brothers and sisters? Hebrews 12:11 say, now no chastening for the present seemeth to be joyous, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterwards it yields the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby. That was Hebrews 12:11. And so what I'm saying, my brothers and sisters, as the Spirit of Yahuwah cleans us up, as he is working through us, there are times when we will find that a person is not happy. So one thing that it appears that we do not do, my brothers and sisters, is speak on how to identify the Spirit of Yahuwah working in us. You see, in Ephesians 4:30, it says, grieve not and do not, in the scripture version 2009 said, and do not grieve the set apart Spirit of the Almighty One, by whom you were sealed for the day of redemption. It's so important, my brothers and sisters, if you ask a person, are you happy? Are you okay with where you are? And sometimes if we ask the right questions and dig deep enough, we'll see that that pain that they experience is a result of them grieving the Spirit of Yahuwah to bring them into correction, to bring us into correction. Now, if they're happy and joyous and they're satisfied and have no grief, then maybe they may not be a brother or sister in set apartness. Let me go to 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 16 and 20. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 16 and 20 says, 19 and 20 says this. Do you not know that your body is the dwelling place of the set-apart Spirit, which is in you, which you have from the Almighty One, and you are not your own? For you were bought with a price. Therefore esteem the Almighty One in your body and in your spirit, which are of the Almighty One. We will grow to understand the dynamics of our structure. Our belief will be strengthened. We will learn his name, and as I say and ask, who's filling your glass? Whoever gives you a taste of endless water and presents to you endless answers, or point to you in the direction of endless answers, the stream of Yahuwah, the stream of his living word, to fortify and confirm what Yahuwah said through his word in John 4th chapter, my brothers and sisters. For Yahusha talks about that endless water, talks about you would never thirst. John 4:10 says, Yahusha answered and said to her, if you knew the gift of the Almighty One, who it is who says to you, give me drink, you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water. You see, my brothers and sisters, if you drop down to the 13th verse in John 4, Yahusha answered and said to her, everyone drinking of this water shall thirst again. But whoever drinks of the water I give him shall certainly never thirst, and the water that I give him shall become in him a fountain of water springing up into everlasting life. That was John 4:13 and 14. Yasharal, O Yasharal, belief, the name, entering into the stream of the word of the Almighty Father by calling upon him, by seeking his face, by discerning his living Torah, his living instructions. 1 John 4:4 says, you are of the Almighty One, little children, and have overcome them, because he who is in you is greater than he who is in the world. You see, my brothers and sisters, there's so much to learn that begins with belief. There's so much to learn when identifying, calling on the name of he who will indeed strengthen us, guide us, and direct our footsteps. Come with me to 2 Corinthians 6 chapter. 2 Corinthians 6 chapter, verses 14 through 18. And let me read these to you, my brothers and sisters. It says, do not become unevenly yoked with unbelievers. For what partnership has unrighteousness with lawlessness? And what fellowship has light with darkness? Keep in mind, my brothers and sisters, we would not be instructed to not be yoked with unbelievers if it wasn't for a reason. To grow strong in fellowship. He said, what fellowship has light with darkness? And what agreement has Messiah with Belial? Or what part does a believer have with an unbeliever? How many people realize that in growing in maturity and set apartness, fellowship requires us to be with like-minded individuals who seek to do the will of the Almighty Father? It says, in what union has the dwelling place of the Almighty One with idols? For you are a dwelling place of the living Almighty One. As the Almighty One has said, I shall dwell in them and walk among them, and I shall be their Almighty One, and they shall be my people. Therefore, come out from among them and separate, says Yahuwah, and do not touch what is unclean, and I shall receive you. I shall be a father to you, and you shall be sons and daughters to me, says Yahuwah, the Almighty One. We will grow to recognize, my brothers and sisters, that there is a physical coming away. There are things which we have been empowered to do where we can literally not be in fellowship. But there are times, my brothers and sisters, there are times we will witness where he prepares our table in the midst of our enemy, and we will learn how to govern ourselves instead of trying to battle with the enemy. Those who are outside of set apartness have their judgment. We who are set apart will learn how to govern ourselves in the midst of our enemies, how to identify like-mind one another, how to believe and yield to his living guidance, his living Torah. There will be those who will have you think the Torah is just the 5 books of Moshe or Moses. This is not true. Though the 5 books of Moses or Moshe present some instruction, it is not the Torah. The Torah is the living instruction. It's the living word. From Genesis to Revelation, when the scriptures are made alive, that life that is brought into the text, that life, that living instruction that can soften or harden the heart, that can blind you or make us see, that is the living instructions, the living in guidance from the Almighty Father. Let us seek to discern the voice of the Spirit of Yahuwah, which comes in Yahusha's name, his word. My brothers and sisters, if you believe anything that I'm saying to be true, if you believe there is life in this message, know for such a time as this, it is important for us to rise up, strengthen our belief, find out who's filling one another's cup, identify the chosen leaders who are walking in correctness, and witness being bound together in unity with such, knowing when to come away or when to purge. If you believe I'm saying anything that strengthens you in Yahusha's name, consider subscribing, share, like, my brothers and sisters. There's so much work to be done. There's so much to learn. Do you know that the more we get to know and identify one another who pursue the will of the Almighty Father, the larger our numbers will grow in unity. Never forget that the scriptures talk about any house divided against itself can't stand. So if we're walking among compromising communities, fellowships, and groups, there are those that would say, let's set doctrine aside. Doctrine means teaching. There are those who will want to say, well, let's just set our differences aside and act as though they don't exist and still laugh and fellowship with one another. This is wicked and erroneous, my brothers and sisters. When it say he prepares our table in the midst of our enemy, that doesn't mean for us to just yield to wickedness or be partakers of erroneous teachings. It means speak with wisdom, govern ourselves with wisdom, a wisdom that draws, a wisdom that produces answers and solutions, a wisdom that is fluid of set apartness, a wisdom that represents the word and the guidance from the Almighty Father. Come, let us examine these words as I gradually come to an end, my brothers and sisters. Come with me to Acts chapter 2, verse 21. Acts chapter 2, verse 21. It said, and it shall be that everyone who calls on the name of Yahuwah shall be saved. Some will say, all you got to do is call on his name. This is referencing those who call with the intent to worship and obey. Those who call upon his name as a response to him drawing them to Yahusha, his word. It doesn't mean that everybody can just holler out Yahuwah and you'll be saved. Those who recognize that his word is indeed Yahusha. So some will take it to say, I will ignore Yahusha, or to play it safe, I'm just going to say Yah. Notwithstanding that Yahusha represents the word of Yahuwah. Yahusha have Yah in it. Yahusha means Yahuwah saves, his salvation. And there are those who will say nobody is saved until resurrection time. If that's the case, O Yasharal, how are we able to cast out demons in Yahusha's name? How are we able to heal the sick in Yahusha's name? How are we to minister to one another? How are we to yield and recognize the Spirit of Yahuwah dwelling in us? Do you think he would dwell in an unsaved vessel? You see, so many use their academics and want to say, ain't nobody saved. I hear so many misguided teachers, mores, that have said that. Learn, my brothers and sisters, to ask questions and even more questions, and we will discover that we who are the children of Yahuwah, drawn by him to his word, Yahusha, are indeed saved. This is why he's disciplined his children, not he's disciplined us to make us become his child. You see, when we begin to look at the realities of what someone is teaching or saying and weigh the realities to the truth and measure it against the living instructions that come from the Spirit of the Almighty Father, then we see when there are apparent contradictions from erroneous teachers, pastors, deacons, or bishops, let us present that correction. And if they don't yield, let us come away. Or if we as a group believe that they're not yielding, purge. Come with me to Acts 4:12. It reads, and there is no deliverance in anyone else, for there is no other name under the heaven given among men by which we need to be saved. That name is indeed Yahusha. How can we communicate with Yahuwah and we don't know how? We think we do. There's a scripture that says unless we pray according to his will, he doesn't hear us. I say to you, my brothers and sisters, it is through Yahusha as our mediator. It is through Yahusha educating us, teaching us, making alive the scriptures, working through us one towards another. When we subject ourselves one towards another, yielding to when Yahusha speaks to the brother or the sister to the brother, to you, to me, to us. We must understand that the flow of the Spirit of the Almighty One will flow through anyone whom he dwells in and chooses to speak through at that time. But that gateway to understanding and discerning is made possible by the name Yahusha. Come with me to Philippians chapter 2, verse 9 through 11. It says, the Almighty One therefore has highly exalted him and given him the name which is above every name, that at the name of Yahusha every knee should bow, of those in heaven and of those on earth, of those under the earth, and every tongue shall confess that Yahusha Messiah is master to the esteem of the Almighty One, the Father. To the esteem, meaning that the Father, he who is spirit, omnipresent, omnipotent, the beginning and the end, to his esteem, recognize that he chose to send his word in Yahusha's name. we will understand clearly in the days ahead. My brothers and sisters, know this: the Almighty Father Yahuah will fulfill all his promises to his children. The time is now to make known our position of belief in the name of whom we will trust. Choose wisely. Look who's filling your glass. Seek to identify the true obedient ones of the Almighty Father. Even the obedient ones will stumble and fall, because it says the flesh war against the spirit. But the obedient ones know how to seek forgiveness and ask for your forgiveness and admit when they're wrong and get under the blood of the Lamb. They understand the dynamics of atoning blood, the atoning blood of Yahusha. They understand that being renewed day by day is a result of the Spirit of Yahuah sent in Yahusha's name, teaching us, comforting us, making things straight. What say you? Oh, listen to these words. Belief in the name. What position have you taken? What position will you take? Pray on these matters, my brothers and sisters. End times are here. And I will submit to you that I will present the things that I believe that the Almighty Father is directing me to present, to strengthen and contribute towards the unifying of a set-apart nation. Soon and very soon, O Yahusha, things will become clear as end times ramp up. I invite your help and assistance if you believe I'm saying something that makes sense, that contribute towards building life. Subscribe, share, like, my brothers and sisters. I have another channel, White Rose Family. I invite you to consider, O Yahusha, visiting White Rose Family. And White Rose Family, as well as the channel Symmanayah, there are links one towards the other, my brothers and sisters. I want to thank you for your patience. I want to thank you for your tolerance. And I say to you, my brother, my sister, my family, belief in the name is important. Subscribe, share, like. Stay tuned. There is much more to come. There is more to come, O Yahusha. It is up to you. It is up to us to pursue the will of the Almighty Father, to discern his living presence, his guidance, to grow in the knowledge that he gives us, to grow in wisdom and understanding. And remember, the fear of Yahuah is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and discipline, as it is written. So let us not be despisers of wisdom and discipline, but embrace it. My prayer is that we grow to discern his voice, that we become as iron sharpening iron, strengthening one another by the power and might of the word of Yahuah working in us, through us, one towards another. Through our belief and recognizing the name above all names. On that note, I say to you, Yahusha, be encouraged. Our redemption draws near. And I end with these words. Shalom. Shalom, my brother, my sister, my family.